viewers, and welcome back for another video with your girl, Shlinda1. Okay guys, in this video we are reviewing one of probably the most hyped foundations that I think I've heard in a very long time. I'm not talking about Fenty or any other ones. I am talking about the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup. Guys, I've heard about this foundation. One of my YouTube sisters, Platinum, she lives by it. It is like one of her holy grail foundations. So I had to get my hands on it finally and try it. I can tell you from off the rip, I kind of stayed away from it just because I'm a normal to dry girl. And yeah, so I finally decided to go ahead and try it. However, I do have my staple foundation. So any foundation that I wear has to top that. If you don't know what that foundation is, shame on you. But then again, if you're just new, then welcome. Welcome. In my Bernie Mac voice, welcome. And definitely hit that subscribe button so you never miss another one. My favorite foundation, my all-time favorite foundation, and my staple foundation as of right now, because you never know what somebody's cooking up, is by Lancome. Their Tint Idol Sticks. This is my favorite foundation. So any foundation that comes after that has to be great. Can't be good. Has to be great. So I got this in 6 and 2 Truffle. Yeah. This is what I was color matched. And believe it or not, in the bottle, which is the worst way to match yourself, but in the bottle you say, okay, it's very neutral, not too yellow, definitely not too red or orange. I gave this one a try. So let's go in. So the way I applied it half on my face so I can see one half. The first thing I want to say is I always go in, I have a staple primer that I really love, and it is by Lancome as well, but this is their La Base Pro Hydra Glow Illuminating Makeup Primer. It is my all-time favorite. It smooths any foundation that I put on top of it. It smooths it, and it really is just my favorite, especially being, like I said, a normal to dry girl. I like my skin to have more luminosity, and me knowing a little bit about the background of this is like a matte foundation. There's no semi-matte, there's no glow. This is matte. So I definitely wanted to use a primer to kind of work along with it. So I put half on my face to get to see it, and at first impressions, I didn't dislike it. It went on pretty decently. It blended out kind of nicely, but I would say with just one application, I didn't get full coverage. Now, to be honest with you, for those who don't know, I am really not a full coverage type girl. But I always go for a full coverage when I'm doing these reviews because I want you to see the first coverage, that more of that one layer medium coverage, to see what you get with just that first application. And then for those who may have a lot of pigmentation on their face, a lot of discoloration on their face, I like to then go in with a second coat so you can see what that full coverage would actually look like. So that's what I did with this one. I put one coat on first, and it wasn't bad, but I knew right off the bat that this wasn't a foundation for me. Now you can say I'm a little biased because I also know in my head what my favorite foundation looks like. So anything that doesn't come close to that, I'm kind of like, no. However, I think that I'm a pretty good judge when it comes to foundations because I kind of go for different things at different times. So it blended out quite nicely. I didn't feel like, and another thing I would say, it's really pretty good with my smile lines. I don't feel like my pores are like screaming out, but once I applied that second layer to make it full coverage, that's when I knew that I didn't like this foundation. That is when it was very clear. I didn't have to ask nobody. It was very clear. My face felt very tight. It felt very, like, it doesn't feel tight anymore. Like, I still feel a little bit of tightness up in here. But when I first applied that second layer, I was just like, oh, and it dried down. It was very tight. Not only that, but I kind of feel like I'm a little cakey. For me, it's a little cakey for my liking. Now, I know there's so many of you guys that love full coverage. So I can see why my girl Platinum actually likes it. Because if you're a person who likes full coverage, then you're going to get full coverage without looking to the cakiest. But it's cakey on me. But what's cakey on me may not be cakey on someone else. But for me, because I am not a full coverage girl, it definitely gave me full coverage. Like it you know, there's no darkness that I feel like is peeking through. But it felt kind of tight. And I feel a little casket ready. You know, I don't know if it's the color. Even though from here on camera, it looks like, you know, it's the right color. At least I think it does. And I swatched it on my on my chest, so I can kind of color match it properly. It looks like it blends in, but when I go to the mirror, I look a little casket ready. I look a little green, if that makes sense. So it could just be the color. I won't knock the product for that, because it could truly just be the color blending in with my natural undertones and probably being off a little bit. That just means that this color is not the right color for me, but it has nothing to do with the formulation and the product of itself. But from a dry girl, I can talk about that. I just feel like it's a little bit too, it's definitely not hydrating enough, even with a hydrating primer. But I feel like it's probably definitely not, it doesn't get my stamp of approval. It's not a foundation that I would recommend for anyone that has dry skin. It's probably not something I would wear again. I'm glad that I finally tried it. I think it's a great product for those who is into really matte foundations and really like the flawless look. Now, don't get me wrong. You will be left flawless. Like, it will flaw you out. And I think that it does work well with other products. When I put on my blush and my highlight and all that stuff, it didn't budge. So I like that. So I believe in the stay in place part, because that one, that is for sure. It stays in place. And if you are a person who work on set, or if you're a person that want to go to work and not worry about your foundation moving, again, I would definitely say that this would be a great foundation. I just wouldn't recommend it for anyone that has extremely dry skin, and I wouldn't recommend it for someone who has sensitive skin, because it just feels a little tight on my face. And I applied it with a beauty blender, which really evens out the foundation application. So that is my thoughts on this bad boy right here. I'm glad I finally have it. It's definitely something I will add to my makeup kit. So when I'm doing other people's makeup, you know, if they have oily skin, I think this would be great for them. You know, this color, all that good stuff. So I'm glad I finally have it. I do think it's fantastic for those who are having long days, that want that foundation that's not going to move, especially if you're into matte foundations. I can see why you guys love it. I personally don't think I like it on dry skin, though. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please rate, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the very next video. Be sure to thumbs this video off for me and share it. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the very next video. Remember, you are bold. You are stunningly beautiful. Most importantly, you're blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Mwah.